Hello, everyone. Welcome to another SES weekly meeting. This is a weekly opportunity for SES to showcase a bit of the work that we're doing. And today we're quite happy to be here with the Immunefi team. I think this is the first of decentralized organizations collaborating to form a core unit. So we're quite happy to present that. And yeah, without further ado, Travin.
Thank you very much, Juan. Hi, I'm Traven Keith, one of the co-founders of Immunefi. And yeah, here I'm happy to talk about the hopefully future soon to be launched Immunefi Security Core Unit. We have the mission of to systematically improve security for builders, end users, and other stakeholders by providing both reactive and proactive security services. As Juan mentioned, it is going to be quite an interesting thing because it's a combination of two decentralized organizations. And I get asked quite a lot, why are we doing this? And I found out together, of course, with the SES, that it is really scaling growth the right way. And as we mentioned in our mission, we want to be more proactive in making the ecosystem more secure. And our best way to be proactive in that is to be part of the ecosystem and not just simply a provider to the ecosystem. So a little bit more about Immunefi. We're the largest bug bounty program platform, in cryptocurrency. We have prevented over $1 billion in loss of funds. This is calculated by both direct damage that could have been done as well as potential damage to token prices. We currently have $41 million in rewards available, and we've paid out about $5 million in rewards on our platform. Of course, the payouts came from our clients, not from us. We've also experimented with a bunch of different additional services, mainly from the demand of our clients. These include a full spectrum security audit, which I will be referencing to moving forward as an operational audit, as that's essentially what it is. We did everything around pretty much everything except the code audit itself. And of course, we've also done a couple of war room and incident responses. So yeah, the Immunefi Security Core Unit will provide these and other proactive services in an ongoing manner. You can take a look at our website at immunefi.com to learn more about our bug bounty platform. So the Security Core Unit team setup is with a facilitator from Immunefi, a deputy facilitator, and a bunch of different Immunefi security services. So it'll be various different team members from the Immunefi company. This includes the bug report triaging, the content creation team, incident response unit, and our specialists who will be providing the operational audit and regular services. Additionally, we'll be working to collaborate with various third parties. These include Chain Security, a reputable auditing firm here in Switzerland that was a spinoff from an ETH Zurich community, and then acquired by PwC and then spun off again to be their own thing. They've audited projects with a total of over $17 billion in TVL or valuation, including MakerDAO itself. We're also going to be working with DeFi Safety, a company that provides a security scoring system for DeFi projects, as well as provides recommendations on how they can become more secure. Our core unit will have a vision of a maker ecosystem with the right security measures, including regular self-evaluation for continuous improvement, so that builders and users can focus on innovation and adoption. We'll be achieving this vision in two primary areas. One is security operations. These is primarily around the direct security boost that we'll be providing to the ecosystem. And then second is with community support, which is basically running under the principle of we are more secure if everyone else is also secure. So looking into the security operations, we have three main criteria of that: the identification of critical infrastructure, of course, a bug bounty program, and incident response facilitation. Identification of critical infrastructure is largely just threat modeling. We're going to try to identify the key areas and key people within the Maker ecosystem so that we can try to structure all of our other services around it. We'll also be identifying the key things to monitor so that if there is an attack, hopefully that doesn't happen, but of course it doesn't hurt to be ready, we will be able to detect it as fast as possible. We'll also be finding out certain areas where various Maker core units rely on other core units, so that we can make sure that there is redundancy wherever that's needed. We'll be doing this in collaboration with DeFi Safety. As I mentioned, they have a lot of experience in finding these as well as scoring and providing advice. Of course, we'll be having a bug bounty program. We'll create one for the Maker ecosystem with the identification of critical infrastructure in mind. We'll structure it in a way that's an industry-leading bug bounty program, as MakerDAO itself is an industry leader within the DeFi ecosystem. We'll be coordinating with Chain Security for additional triaging of the bug reports, as they are very familiar with the Maker code base. And we will also be providing additional services in addition to the bug bounty program itself, such as if ever there's a critical vulnerability, we'll be creating up a post-mortem for every bug that comes through. An example is here with Fei Protocol. You can find all of our post-mortems on our Medium blog, including this one here. And we will also be coordinating with various PR organizations in order to make sure that any bug report becomes more of a positive aspect to the Maker ecosystem and focus as a whole. So we'll also be working on incident response facilitation. This kind of gets sometimes called as a war room. Essentially, it's so that any attack on the Maker ecosystem gets minimized. This includes both, of course, analyzing the technical attack and coordinating with the various PR and community management areas around the ecosystem. We've had a lot of experience on this. It's gotten to the point that whenever somebody's calling for a war room, it's not so much, oh no, and I start freaking out. It's more of like, oh, here we go again. And this, some of them are very easy, well, relatively speaking, because it's because of a bug report. So the white hat hacker is collaborative, has already disclosed everything. A fix is already underway. It's just making sure that that gets communicated in the best possible manner. As I mentioned, we work with other PR organizations as well. A more difficult one, of course, is when there is a black hat attack and funds are directly stolen. With that, every minute counts. The first 15 to 30 minutes are really critical, and we have the experience to help projects with that. And of course, there's also something in between where there is a white hat, but in order to fix the vulnerability, you actually have to do a hack on software. So we've done that with Primitive Finance. We actually did that over a weekend one time. You can read more about it, about this in our blog post as well. Moving on to community support, this is two primary areas: the core unit operational audits and education and advisory. For core unit operational audits, as I mentioned, is more about looking into the operations of the various core units, trying to make sure that they have the best practices implemented in order to keep them secure. We'll also be doing this again in collaboration with DeFi Safety, who can also provide a scoring mechanism depending on what the core unit is doing. So of course, for technical core units, it'll be different scoring system than for non-technical core units. We'll also be providing education and advisory services, not only to core units, but the general Maker ecosystem as a whole. Again, we'll get more secure if everybody else is also secure. So we'll be creating content, we'll be having office hours, and various other services in order to, just make sure that everybody else has the information that they need and has the resources in order to get more secure. Some samples of the content that we'll be coming out with are already on our Medium blog, include this one about draining your wallet. We also have some tips about staying safe on Discord, staying safe on Telegram, and of course, generally around social media. So overall, these are the 5 key services that we will be offering as the Immunefi Security Core Unit. So our roadmap moving forward, September to October, we plan to be submitting our RFC for the core unit, budget, and facilitator MIPs. And of course, we also plan to onboard our deputy facilitator. We've already been engaging with this candidate. Things are going well. So hopefully we'll get this actually sooner than October. For security operations, we will be starting to do the identification of critical infrastructure for bug bounty program coverage. This is actually already underway. We also plan to begin coordination for incident response. This has actually already also been partially done already, and we hope to continue along with this moving forward. In November, we plan to post the core unit and facilitator MIP, and also post a bug bounty program RFC. So the bug bounty program will be a separate MIP later on. We also plan to begin our community support aspects, such as beginning the content planning and launch of social media channels. In December, where we will hopefully launch the core unit, hopefully we get a positive vote, we will be posting the bug bounty program MIP as well, and begin the core unit operational audit RFC. So that, again, will have a separate MIP. We'll be moving forward a lot with the community support, such as setting up weekly calls for office hours, and launch certain community channels. Although because it is December, we don't expect too much activity, but we want to keep things open in case people do need help. In January, that's when things really start kicking off. So we'll be posting our core unit operational audits, MIP, and finalize incident response procedures. We also hope to complete the identification of metrics and nefarious activity around this time. And for the community support, we have our first regular content publication. We might consider having our first regular content publication in December, depending on how things go after the launch, as well as if there's a demand for it. We understand that in December, a lot of people probably don't have security articles or security content at the top of their minds in terms of things they want to read. So in February, we plan to organize the creation of backups for critical monitoring infrastructure. As I mentioned, we want to make sure that if an attack does happen, we want to be able to know about it as soon as possible, because every minute counts. And yeah, we also plan to commence the first fire drill around the Maker ecosystem. I won't be sharing much details. A lot of the people probably won't know it's a fire drill, but we'll try to keep things contained and try to make sure that everyone's aware, at least at some point in time, that it is a fire drill. There's not a real emergency. And we plan to start the core unit operational audits for at least 2 core units, probably more, but it depends on various factors, again, depending on the finalization of our identification of critical infrastructure. If we determine that 3 is absolutely needed, we might start with 3. Thank you very much for your time. Happy to answer any questions that everyone here on the call has.
Nice. Thanks a lot, Travin. Does anyone... So I get almost weekly access to Travin. So does anyone else have questions for well, Travin and the team?
Yeah.
I have. Sorry. Do you want to go ahead, Frank? I'll go after you.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. So, first thing, it's a 2-part question. First thing, do you plan on helping with regards to the governance executive votes? Do you plan on providing maybe a review of every executive that goes into a vote, usually on Fridays like today? That's part 1. And part 2, can you give us an example of a black hat hacker that you had to deal with? Like, how did you negotiate with them, things of that nature?
For the first one, yes, that's definitely something that we will consider. I can't say yet in terms of how exactly we'll go about it. That's part of the identification of critical infrastructure and people section of our core unit. So definitely it's something we'll consider. I mean, I don't see why not, given the fact that it's a very critical part of the Maker ecosystem. As for your second question in regards to dealing with black hat hackers, that's definitely something that we've had some experience in. I just have to be careful in terms of the details because a lot of it are still under embargo. But we have spoken with a lot of black hat hackers just to kind of get an idea on, well, what makes them return the money. But also at the same time, and really more focused on what makes them disclose a vulnerability instead of exploit it. And that's how actually we came out with the whole idea of a scaling bug bounty, whereby a black hat hacker would be, a white hat hacker, if they report a vulnerability, would get 10% of the amount of money that they could have stolen. Just because we found out that most hackers are willing to part with 90% because cleaning that money in the crypto ecosystem is very difficult. A lot of people think that, oh, you can just put it into Tornado Cash. Well, if you steal $100 million and put it into Tornado Cash, you got about a fourth of the entire pool. Good luck getting that on any exchange. Good luck on getting that on any OTC desk. And every time you try to do an in-person OTC, 1, likely the amount of money isn't so high, and 2, you're giving up your identity and putting a risk on yourself by essentially identifying yourself. So versus getting 10% of it cleanly right away, you can take it to an exchange, and when they ask where'd you get the money, you can point to exactly where you got it from. Yeah, it's quite a big difference. And of course, you don't have the stress of trying to look behind your back all of the time. So yeah, that's one of the key things that we've implemented, and we're continuously researching into the space and try to, make people disclose the vulnerability instead of exploit it. We've had also some experience, of course, post hacks. As I mentioned, we've had some war room experience. It's very interesting getting into the dynamics around that, and we hope to get yeah, the entire space just more into an area where there are more white hat hackers to beat the black hat hackers into finding these vulnerabilities. That's why we have a bounty program.
Cool. Thanks, David. And thank you, Traven, for the answers.
No problem.
Dave, do you want to hop on the mic for your question?
Oh yeah, sure. So one thing that I am observing right now in the coming about of all these like core units, there's a handful that are focused on the emergency side of MakerDAO, and rightfully so. And I was curious. I know there is a tech ops. I think a part of their operation is actually coming from the old foundation tech ops team, and I know they already have like a lot of threat monitoring and stuff in place. And so I'm curious just how you view the overlap of security monitoring, and also just what your general like team's culture is with regards to coming into the DAO. How do you expect kind of the first 30 to 60 days to look like with regards to forming working relationships with core units, et cetera, et cetera?
Sure. So yeah, we've already been coordinating with some other core units. I mean, of course, SES is one of them. As you mentioned with Tech Ops, we've already spoken with them a little bit, and we do plan to collaborate with other core units that have this infrastructure in place. We're not here to unnecessarily recreate things that are already there. If they're already there and we just determine that it's good for them to have a backup, that's what we're going to be working on. So we have no issue at all. And in fact, we fully welcome and we fully prefer to work with other core units and what they have and just amplify it and make everything more secure. We're not in the space right now to want to compete with other core units who are having these monitoring tools or certain procedures. We just plan to go in and improve it where we can. And for example, with the War Room, we'd be collaborating with all of the existing protocols, procedures, and trying to spot maybe what's wrong, what could be improved, and adapting to that, because we also understand that there's been a lot of things already in place within this community before when the foundation still existed. And so we want to make sure that the transition period to something new, if there are any improvements that we find that we'd like to implement, is as smooth as possible. I mean, it's both not just a tech problem, it's also a people problem. And we have to be aware of people being human and needing time to adjust, and having too much change is just going to bring more negative aspects than positive in a lot of cases. In terms of adjusting to the culture, we're a very crypto native company. I've been around the cryptocurrency space for about 8 years now. A lot of the people who are on our team as well have been around the space for at least a few years. And so, having this core unit set up, for example, was not an issue at all for us. It made sense to us right away. And from an operational standpoint, it fit right into what we were doing. So from 30, 60-day plan, it's really just continuing what we've done so far. The SES core unit has helped us quite a lot and connected us with various core units that I identified would be helpful, as well as what they've identified could be helpful for us.
Yeah, right on. Thank you for the great answer. I have one more question. So I know that a part of the team's mandate is to offer additional services beyond just the bug bounty. So like auditing, full spectrum sort of auditing. And I'm curious if Immunefi begins to offer this, or is it going to offer it out of the gate? And I'm curious if there's going to be like a dedicated 1 or 2 engineers doing it. Like, I'm curious about that whole side of things. If you could like elaborate or spend a few minutes talking about it, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, a lot of these stuff we've already done in the past, but we've kind of either shelved them, like with the full spectrum security audit, which is the operational audit. The War Room we still have up a little bit just as an availability, but it's more of an whether we have the capacity to help out or not.
Sorry, Traven, I think I misunderstood. So, okay, now I'm understanding what a full spectrum security audit is. Sorry, what about smart contract audits? Is there anything? Yeah, so I guess, that was just a bit of a misunderstanding from my side.
No problem. So we're not going to be part of providing the actual like smart contract audits or penetration testing directly. We might be coordinating with whoever does that. I understand that there's some collaboration with chain security there, so we've just planned to work ourselves into that process. But no, we won't be overseeing the code audits themselves. But having the codes into the bug bounty program, perhaps after an audit has been completed, is something that we will definitely be doing.
Okay, got it.
Travis, for those maybe watching later, or if anyone's watching now but they have questions later, what's the best way to find you and connect for anything Maker related?
Sure. So the easiest way would be to email me at traven@immunefi.com. I'm also on the Immunefi Discord, but I'm not there so often. So the best way to contact me is via email.
Nice. I'm sure we'll also be doing some recaps soon, or presentations more to the community, even though, well, you guys have been reaching out to a bunch of core units already. I don't know if there are any.
It's been fantastic helping.
I don't know if there are any
Sorry, go ahead.
questions. No, I was going to ask anyone else in the call if there are any parting questions. We're almost at the top of the hour. Yeah, as Pros was saying, eventually before the core unit comes out full-fledged, we will have a launchpad session where everything can be presented more in detail. So that's that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know it's a lot of information that I just dropped right now. So looking forward to getting more in depth and engaging with the community further.
Yeah, totally. All right. So thank you very much, Ryan, for coming, and thank you all. Have a nice one.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.